Hello and welcome back to the Cloud Blue podcast, sponsored by NordVPN. All the information that you need for Nord, including a stupendous discount code, is in the description down below. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, joined by Matt Kendrick in another retro Villa shirt. Is that allowed to be retro? What is that, 99, 2000? That's retro, isn't it now?
I was wearing this last week, actually, to be honest. So it's not another one. It's the same one. It has been washed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the cup final top, wasn't it? In a disappointing match against London opposition back in 2000.
Nice.
So yeah, it's, why is the discount code stupendous today rather than it's not tasty when I'm on?
I said to John on the last episode that for him specifically, I've started doing the episodes, particularly the live ones, by trying to be a bit strange, just to throw him off the scent a little bit, just kind of wake him up, get him ready for the episode. So it started with tasty, and then on one of the Q&As, I changed it to delicious, and he bursted out laughing. So I'm now going to do my best to change the adjective to describe the discount code every episode. So I've gone stupendous this evening.
Yeah, if you want to throw Townley off his stride, just need to throw a little bit of Mexican rice in with his normal boiled basmati, don't you? And that'll probably give him the shock that he needs. So,
what we will
Dan,
do,
I really don't want to do this tonight. I'm in a really bad mood.
No, let's not have any of that. What we will do is talk about what should have been the segue just then, talk about a disappointing performance against another London side. Forget what we just did, go straight from that to this.
Okay, yeah.
Disappointing performance is actually not the right way of looking at it. I think disappointing result.
This wasn't disappointing performance. I thought it was a very good performance. A bit ragged in places, but I thought it was a performance that warranted a lot more than we got.
Okay, all right, fair enough. We'll go through it as best we can in order. There's a couple of different talking points I want to go through. Why are you angry? Why are you in a bad mood? Just because of the defeat or of other things happened?
I just think it's A, it's Mikel Arteta's face, and B, it's all the Arsenal fans who are going to be in my messages calling me a bitter old man because I'm moaning about Mikel Arteta's face. So it's those two things, really, to be honest. That's what's put me in a grump.
I can already anticipate the comments for this. Like, we're in our little Villa bubble at the moment, and there's 200 people with us live as we film this. But the people that find this in the coming days as bitter Villa fans, kind of bigging themselves, or who do they think they are? The mighty Arsenal did one over on them. Maybe Martinez, all that kind of stuff. Don't care, to be honest. I'm here to just discuss the Aston Villa side of things, and ultimately, I'm trying to kind of gauge how people feel in the comments before we started. I've only been back about 15 minutes, so I've not kind of gone through social media with a fine tooth comb yet. Seems to be a kind of split between kind of quite proud of the performance and the lads' start to the season so far, and a little bit kind of tinged of, but we're not as good as I wanted us to be. When we did our pre-season preview, I had 4 points from the opening 3 games, thinking that would be a draw to West Ham, a defeat today, and beating Leicester. So in my head, we're kind of ahead of where I thought we'd be. Now, if we only got 4 points from this position, I'd be disappointed because that means only drawing with Leicester. I think this is still a good start to the season, and losing to Arsenal, though we did the double last season, is by no means the end of the world. And I think the performance, as you said, was largely really quite good as well. And we'll talk about some of those bits as we go through. But I'm not angry. it's one of those. Arsenal are a title favourite, and I thought we did well. And on another day, we've created enough chances there to have won the game. So yeah, I'm not kind of too downbeat over it.
Yeah, well, I've got us down for 5 points, hadn't I? So that's stuff me now. That's why I'm angry, because I can't be right now, can I? You're gonna have to settle for 6. Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where I don't know the way you phrased it a moment ago, but proud of the lads. I mean, I'm not trying to get delusions of grandeur, but that does sound a little bit like a kind of plucky underdog who's put in a good performance in the third round of the FA Cup against 71 places in the pyramid difference. But I think the frustrating thing was that I don't think Arsenal were at the best, and maybe that's the sign of champions or the sign of wannabe champions, that you can get dig results like that when you're at your best, not at your best. After an hour, if somebody had said, "Would you take a 0-0 now?" I'd probably said no. I'd be disappointed with a 0-0. I think we can go and win this. I think we obviously created the chances, and we'll get to all that in a minute. But I think that was the thing for me, that having, there's moments where, Arsenal centre halves are 2 of the best centre halves in the Premier League, but we were hassling them, we were panicking them, we were bullying them. And I don't see that happen very often. I think having done that and having unsettled them, I think it's not inexcusable is too strong a word, because we're talking about human beings, but having done that and created that sense of unease amongst them, we needed to really capitalise on it by scoring a couple of goals, not just one, I think.
I actually think we'd done all of the hard work. We played well. We'd put the defenders under pressure. We created the chances. It was literally just those finishing touches and those final moments that have not seen us come away with anything today, never mind the victory. I kind of feel, and again, this does kind of play into the kind of plucky underdogs narrative that you've just spoken about. Absolutely downplays Aston Villa. That is not what we are at all. But it probably shows the kind of level of progression that we've reached now, that we are all coming out of Villa Park disappointed that we've not beaten a title challenger, because that's where Arsenal are likely to be this season. Whether they win it or not, they're going to be right up there competing throughout the season. And we're coming away from it going, oh, Watkins should have scored this, and Rodgers had that chance, and Onana hit the bar, and all these different things that we now feel that, if you go back, I don't know, 10 years, 5 years, you go, Arsenal, write that off. We've got no chance. We won't create anything, 3 or 4-0 easily. The fact that we're going into the game thinking, you know what, quite fancy us, or, we can get a point here, to then going through the game and going, we're creating chances, we can be as good as these, we're giving them everything we've got, and to come out on the other side of defeat and feel really disappointed in that and feel of it almost like a missed opportunity on the second game week of the season shows the kind of progression that we've got now, that our standards have raised so highly, so that when we don't reach those standards, it does feel like a more kind of crushing weight of disappointment.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think previous matches against Arsenal in recent years, we've done pretty well against Arsenal, even when Dean Smith was here. But
yeah,
those, I wouldn't say they felt like flukes, but they didn't feel like they were they were the norm. Now I think that us competing against the top teams now feels like it's the norm, and I think the game plan was pretty good, to be honest. I think it was executed pretty well, but it was those little moments. So I think that's what's frustrating, knowing that if Arsenal had come along and really turned it on and give us a hiding, well, we'd probably still be moaning about that, because we said, well, what's happened? We've gone backwards. But I don't think we have gone backwards. I think we're showing that we can still compete on that level. It's just when you actually go toe-to-toe with one of the top clubs, you can't be so wasteful, can you? You've got to make the most of your opportunity.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ollie Watkins then. There's a lot of discussion about him in the comments so far. Somebody's asking about his body language. We were asked about this on the Q&A that we did last week after West Ham. Does his body language look right? Does he look interested? All that kind of thing. Fitness is still something for him. He's played an hour today, played an hour last week. This is basically his pre-season. I would expect him, if still fit and not picked up any injuries, he will maybe play more than an hour against Leicester, and then we've got another international break, and he will slowly start to ramp up his season individually. I agree, he doesn't look right yet. He's just certainly not up to speed. He's not his usual self, and I think those things will come with time. I don't think anyone is suggesting he's a bad player at all, just that he's not quite there yet. And when I suppose Duran has scored the winner last week, maybe the argument is, well, give Duran Arsenal and let him play. But I don't know. I think Watkins is the main man, isn't it? You've got to kind of play him into fitness, I think, for want of a better phrase. Have you got any concerns whatsoever over his body language, his attitude, things like that? You're a body language expert?
I'm not really a body language expert, I must admit. I think it's not the first time Ollie Watkins has been, I say, written off. I don't think people are writing him off, but it's not the first time he's faced questions about his contribution. And, remember the old Ings versus Watkins debate when we were saying, if only Ollie Watkins could finish like Danny Ings, etc., and if only Danny Ings had the work rate of Ollie Watkins. Now, Ollie Watkins has proven over the last 2 years, probably more, that he's a top-class Premier League centre-forward. Top-class international centre-forward now, albeit feeding on scraps with the England team in terms of his appearances there. I don't know about his body language. We'll probably talk in more depth in a minute about the chances that he missed. They're good chances, both of them, really, really good chances. But cliche alert, you've got to be there. You've got to be in those places. So, he was in position. He didn't
done the hard bit, like we said about the whole game plan, like getting into those positions and making himself available for that chance is the hard bit.
Yeah,
maybe that's a cliche in itself, but he's not the first one. Again, let's just go through it. The first one, I think I've not seen it back, but it feels like he scuffs it, doesn't make the right contact, and should absolutely be hitting the target. And the second one, does it go down as a bad Watkins miss or a brilliant Raya save? Which kind of side of the coin are you?
I think it's both, to be honest, because I think it was a good reflex save. Keeper shouldn't have been given the chance to make that save. There was enough of the goal. I think it didn't come. It came at him quite fast in terms of the ball back off the bar to Watkins, but it didn't come at him that fast that he didn't have a chance to adjust his position. So I think a kind of fit and firing Ollie Watkins, probably with, you know what he's like. He scores in little bursts, doesn't he? So if he'd scored in the previous 3 games, I mean, good luck to him because he's only played in the previous 1. But if he'd scored in the previous 3 games and he got that kind of rhythm about him, I think he'd have found a way of either angling his body to bury that header, or even, dare I say, probably bringing it on his chest and then just slotting it. It was a brilliant save. I'm not taking anything away from Raya because it was a great save, but clinical centre forwards, of which Ollie Watkins is usually one, the keeper wouldn't have had a chance. He'd be picking the ball out of the net. So I think Watkins against Saliba is always interesting. I think it's always Watkins sometimes loses that physical battle. I know he scored a few goals against Arsenal, so he can't be doing too badly in that sense. But the thing that concerned me, I wouldn't say more than, but as much as the missed chances today, was some of his first time passing. It was like he got, I don't know, like he got a knuckle duster in the top of his boots or something, because it was just bouncing off in different directions. He hasn't played his way back into his rhythm yet. And you do wonder, you know, should he have had half an hour in Dortmund or whatever it was, or 15
He was
minutes?
injured, I think.
Was he? So in that case, no. But Premier League's not a time to kind of shake off that rust, particularly because
I get what you're saying, but ultimately, from a Villa perspective, he played an hour last week and we still won. Today, it's another 6 inches to rise left, and he scores anyway. And maybe we don't necessarily get anything, but he contributes. He could score a hat trick against Leicester next week, and we're all going, well, that's the Ollie Watkins we know and love. 3 goals, 3 games, international break, right? He'll be ready to go after it. It's just, I don't want to keep saying it's one of those things, but it is one of those things. We don't have much choice but to just go through this process and let him play through it. I don't think you can just throw Duran in. I don't know what signal that sends to start Duran, and then Watkins is your backup. Then I think we're kind of forgetting how good he was last year. He was a player of the year contender.
Sorry to be cross here. I don't think in terms of sending a signal, I don't think Emery would necessarily mind that. And, he takes McGinn off his captain, and that's not a slight on McGinn. That's not saying that John McGinn is no longer my main man and no longer my captain. That is, this game demands that I do something different. So I don't think Emery wouldn't promote Duran above Watkins for that reason, because it was a criticism of Watkins. I just don't think he thinks he's ready to do that job that Watkins does. I think it's a job that needs more maturity than Duran can offer. So I think you're right. I think Leicester next game, I think we will persevere with Watkins, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think in 3 or 4 matches after the initial international break, we'll be saying, were we worried about Ollie Watkins a few months ago?
Yeah.
And it'll become, no, we weren't, because he'll have 5 or 6 goals and he'll be back to the Ollie Watkins that we know and love, really.
Yeah, I absolutely don't think there's any room for concern yet. If this is the 15th game of the season and he's still not scored, it's a totally different conversation. Strikers miss chances. Erling Haaland misses chances that you think he should have scored that. Probably not a great example to use when he scored a hat-trick today, but do you know what I mean? Like, you can show me any striker or forward in world football missing a chance, they should score. And Watkins will score his fair share of goals throughout the season. Just quickly on the substitutions, we are going a bit all over the place here. I'm specifically thinking about that kind of 60-minute mark. Watkins and McGinn off, and Nana came off as well. Substitutions won us the game at the London Stadium last week. I don't want to go as far as to say they lost us the game this week, but do you think they were the right subs?
I don't know. Possibly that time. When did their goal come? Their first goal?
Just after. So I've got, I think it was, so Watkins and McGinn came off on 60. Trossard scored on 67. Maatsen came on for Dean. I think it was possibly 2 already by then. And Nana, I'm not sure because I don't have it in front of me. But my thinking with that is just that for Nana and McGinn specifically, I don't think anyone who is going to come on the pitch can do what they do in terms of what they offer. It's on the physical profile, McGinn holding the ball up and the way he kind of holds players off and having that bit of fight and that bit of energy. Nobody can quite do that. If there's injury problems or fitness and they can only play that certain amount of time, that kind of forces Emery's hand a little bit. But if it was purely like a tactical thing, yes, it's a roll of the dice and you can never know. But it just feels a little to me that they weren't quite the right changes.
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily lost us the game. I do think when we've conceded at a time where probably not expecting to concede, because I think we were the stronger team for the second half up until that point. I think just when you've got no McGinn on there, I think one of your leaders is gone at a time where you just need to think, okay, that wasn't in the script. We thought we were going to score the first goal. We didn't think we were going to concede it. I thought that after 2 or 3 minutes of feeling sorry for ourselves, I thought we'd actually play our way back in. And I thought we'd probably lose 1-0. I predicted at the start of the game we'd lose 1-0. But I thought when we conceded, I thought we'd probably lose a 1-0 trying to batter down their door. But I felt that we'd lost. I felt that goal sucked more out of us than it really necessarily should have done.
Yeah, somebody in the comments says Onana was on a yellow. That made sense. I had forgotten about that. Just quickly on the timings, this is off Google's kind of match report. You got McGinn off for Ramsey and Watkins off for Duran on 65. Trossard then scores on 67. And Nana gets booked on 72 and comes off on 76 for Barkley. Dean comes off for Maatsen on 76 as well. And then Partey scores on 77. So to concede 2 goals after both these substitutions, yes, like I said, not lost us the game specifically in terms of they were, errors leading to goals, but bit of a coincidence we made 2 changes twice and we concede straight after twice as well.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it really. When you talk about when you say those timings that they're so close to the changes, but when Emery was making that first couple of changes, I thought, this is my manager. He's not prepared to set it. So, I think it was one of those days. I know that's a massive cliche, but I said to the people sitting next to me, who are my family, incidentally, so I don't know why I'm calling them the people sitting next to me, but I said, there's a sting in the tail, and I thought the sting in the tail was going to come with a kind of last-minute winner, like they did with Jorginho a couple of seasons ago. But I don't know, just the goals as well. I thought we played them well. I don't think they.
I did, yeah.
Didn't seem like much of a threat to me. But I know they're always going to be. But I thought we'd handled it quite well. I don't think anybody really ever had control of the game. But I thought if anybody did, we looked a little bit more assured than they did. But yeah, it was. It was just the difference in finishing, wasn't it? Because Trossard has just kind of placed that right in the corner, hasn't he? Second goal, Emmy's got to save that, hasn't he? And,
yeah, I agree.
He will know more than anybody he's got to save it. And the fact that the Arsenal fans took great delight in serenading him for the following 20 minutes after that, he'll have that stored up here. So that'll be kind of any extra motivation if he needs it.
Yeah, it's just really, really frustrating. I think the wider narrative will be it was obviously on Sky tonight. I've not seen anything back. I think it'll be a lot of Arsenal didn't kind of play to their best, but that's what makes a title challenger. That's what makes a title winner. They can still get something when they've not played too well. They went to Villa Park last year and lost, so they've already kind of improved on that this year. They've kind of got something out of nothing. I don't really think that was the case at all. I think the game was really even, and as we said at the start, to kind of be disappointed about where Villa are based off the opponent that we faced on the second game of the season shows how far Villa have come. I was sitting there thinking, when we talk about our pre-season predictions, we go, it still may go on to be the case. I'm talking about the here and now. Man City and Arsenal kind of league of their own. They're the top 2 guaranteed. Kind of forget about them. They're away from everybody else. They're a title challenger and a title contender, which is the same thing. We're nowhere near that. As I'm watching the game thinking, these are pretty ordinary. We're making them look ordinary here. We're giving as good as we get. If they're a title contender, why aren't we? We're giving as good as we've got here. We're creating chances. Our players look dangerous. So, yes, Arsenal may go on to run away with it. But as of that game there, I was thinking, Villa are in this. Villa have got something. This isn't the Villa of old where we just write games off and think, we've got no chance. We can go toe-to-toe with anyone. And when we're doing our predictions, I don't think that's the case anymore. Where we go, Tottenham come in. We don't have a great record. Let's kind of look ahead to the game after that instead. We can beat and give a game to absolutely anybody across this league, as we saw last season as well. So I'm not going to come out of this doom and gloom thinking, we did beat them last year, so we're behind on what we did last year. We've got a very favourable run of fixtures coming up. I'll remind them of you very quickly. Leicester next Saturday before an international break. Then Everton and Wolves back-to-back at Villa Park and Ipswich away. Then Man United and Fulham going into October and Bournemouth. Up until November, that's a very favourable run, I think. You're playing 3 games a month with, I think Champions League will be in by September or October. But those two, the next three, Leicester, Everton, Wolves, two of those at Villa Park, and you've got to be going for pretty much maximum points, haven't you? If you want to be, putting a challenge together for a top 4 push again.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I wouldn't get too carried away just yet, saying that those are kind of gimmies, all of those 5 or 6 games that you've built off, because they're not going to be. I think in terms of today's game, I saw just before I jumped on here with you, watched the highlights, and on the Premier League highlights on YouTube, they put Arsenal celebrate statement victory, and I thought does it annoy me or does it please me? Because the statement annoyed me because it wasn't an emphatic victory. But Arsenal fans, to be fair, could say, well, they had a lot of the play. The first half an hour at the Emirates, we were hanging on towards the end of last season. Yeah. And if you remember, the game that we won at Villa Park last season, it was nowhere near the level of control we exerted over Man City a couple of days previously, or 3 or 4 days previously. So, this is a massive cliche alert. Goals win games. So I think in terms of statements, I think because it was Villa, it wasn't acknowledged at the time necessarily, because it was Villa who undermined their title bid and stopped them from winning the title. It's now seen as a statement. Now they've beaten us. Now, I take that with a source of pride that beating little old Aston Villa at Villa Park, it is a statement now because we're a contender as well.
Yeah, of course,
yeah.
We're a top 4 rival that they didn't beat last year, and it's at our home ground. So we are mad as it is. We probably were just edged as favourites before the game. So for them to come here and, on paper it looks like they've won a 2-0 clean sheet, happy days for Arsenal. That is a statement victory. It wasn't as easy as that for them. And on another day, we score at least 1 goal and possibly go on to get something. If we go ahead 1-0, who knows what happens. But yeah, for them to come here and win that's an achievement. And that's how Villa should be viewed now. It's not just, most teams will beat Villa. Like, we hopefully won't lose many games this season because we didn't last year. Yeah. And it'll be seen as something as an achievement to do that.
Yeah, I think the kind of woes me, Brummy, kind of worlds against us kind of thing thinks, why wasn't our win against them at the Emirates seen called statement? It's only a statement when we're on the receiving end of it. Anyway, all these statements, I haven't seen this many statements since Raheem Sterling was left out of the Chelsea team last week. So, anyway.
Let's talk about one individual from a Villa perspective, a positive one, not Raheem Sterling. I keep saying we're getting loads of comments about that. We'll talk about it on the Q&A on Monday. We'll do some actual thought rather than doing it on a live stream. Let's talk about the Hailzo in Lionel Messi. Not left-footed. Or is he left-footed, Morgan Rogers? I'm not even sure. He seems so good with both.
Left-footed Hailzo and Lionel Messi, mate. I'm here for you.
What do you make of Morgan Rogers? We've spoken a lot about kind of his development over the last 6 to 8 months as really going up a level, but he's so dangerous. He's frighteningly good, isn't he?
Who's the I'm not much of a kind of Marvel comic kind of guy. Who is the biggest? Who's the new equivalent to the Hulk?
Oh, I've got no
go
idea.
with me. Is there somebody?
Is there a new version of the Hulk? Is it not just the Hulk?
The way Rogers is today, it was almost, if you see a kind of action movie or you see a kind of Marvel movie or whatever, all the baddies, he just shrugs them off. And like some of he got like I don't know, it was like kind of teenage girls had to take that concert, throwing themselves at him, but he just had to kind of swat them all away and carry on his business. There's lots of players in the Premier League who, even if they've had a little tug on their arm, would have gone down. He'd got 3 or 4 Arsenal players on his back, and he was still rolling them and spinning them and driving on. I think the strength of the lad and the confidence of the lad is just, I don't know where he gets, well, they make him tough and crowded, don't they? So that's clearly where he gets it from. But I thought he was really good, really, really good.
You know what's great about that kind of little burst of energy as well, and that holding off. Me and my dad both said this during the game. He baits that in. He doesn't do it all the time, but if you watch him back, or if you think about it as you watch him, the amount of times he kind of just like hovers a little bit, waiting for somebody to come and then goes. McGinn is very all action, isn't he? Very kind of bulldog like approach, goes in, arms flailing around like you don't miss him. It's like a tornado. Whereas Rogers kind of almost like a bit delicate in comparison to McGinn, that he's kind of waiting and floating and then goes, then bursts through. It's really kind of impressive the way he switches up so quickly, and that position change effectively of him playing the support striker off Watkins and being central pretty much all game. So we're able to pick up the ball on the halfway line and burst forward, moves Villa up the pitch so quickly, like we saw Ramsey doing not last season, the one before. The fact that we've now got 2 players like that and one can't even get on the pitch at the moment is, again, scary with the kind of prospects of the options that Villa have here. Rodgers was a championship player, I don't know, 8 months ago. No one was really looking at him. All of a sudden, we're talking about potential player of the year winner. He'll play for England one day. He'll be worth 75 million. Like, this guy's risen so quickly. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I know ultimately today we've lost. It doesn't matter, like, but he's a shining spark in what is a defeat today, and he'll be very important throughout the course of this season.
I don't know about play for England one day. He'll play for England this season.
Yeah.
Not just because Lee Carsley knows him from the younger age group. I think we've got a gem there, and
Agreed.
I'm probably a little bit ignorant to our recruitment overseas because my appreciation of European football is not on a level with probably most Villa fans. But for us to get somebody homegrown, I don't mean Hale's own homegrown, I mean English. He normally pays such a premium for English players. We've actually got. I don't know. I don't want to overhype the lad because he's still probably only played 10 times in the Premier League, perhaps.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe a little bit more. But I think he's fantastic. I think probably just lacking a little bit around him today. I think some of the, I think he either ran out of steam or we just didn't have an option. He's carried the ball kind of 60, 70 yards a few times.
Yeah, he's not the finished article, obviously. There's still a long way to go. Like his final ball or his final decision making is not quite there yet. There's still obviously work to be done, but that initial kind of picking up the ball, shrugging off a couple of players and moving Villa up the pitch is something that will be absolutely crucial. That when he does get the final pass right and he threads Watkins through and he scores, or McGinn comes to support him, or Tielemans or Bailey, or all these different options around him. A massive threat. And the fact that, if he does get tired after 70 minutes and you can bring on Jacob Ramsey, who will basically do the same job, is scary.
Yeah, he's class. Just reading the comments there, somebody saying he'd be a Brett Riverboat. Great name, Brett. What was he saying? He's gone now. He's saying he'd be £100 million player playing in the World Cup for England.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think, how old is he, Dan? We keep saying this. He's 22
21 or something. Yeah, maybe recently 22.
So yeah, I think it's a brilliant bit of business, and I think we all, when we signed him, was it back in January? I think we thought, he's a rookie. Will he get like cameos from the bench and stuff? I think the fact that he's been able to catapult himself into becoming a starter in a Villa team that's in the Champions League and that wants to compete at the top end, I don't think much phases him. He's lovely. It's brilliant to watch his development, really.
Another comment, 2 actually, about you. 3 actually. Stefan says, nothing quite like a confused Matt analogy. Rodgers is a Hulk shaking off teenage take that fans. That did go all over the place. Dan says, where's the Villa bag gone, Matt? Disappointing. And earlier, Laneuk says, is that 2 bags of cat litter in Matt's background?
It's cat litter. We've got
is it actually?
So there's the bag.
Cats? I didn't know you got cats.
We've got cats, yeah. They've arrived in the right look. Have you got pets, Dan?
My mum and dad have got a dog, as you know, but nothing here. Nah, no way. Toddler's bad enough. Yeah, I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, they're just there, aren't they? Just there. I'm not really a pet person, but I do say good morning to them. I do like nod. If you kind of see somebody across the street, I'm on that kind of
head raise.
I'll nod and I'll be respectful, but. Don't get rubbing your tail up against me, mate. I'm not interested. People haven't just joined in at that bit.
Are these cats a new thing?
Yeah, we had kittens. They're about, how old are they now? About 3 months old. I think they were rescue kittens. They were abandoned. And if whoever's abandoned them, I'm not a cat person, but I'm still got a bone to pick with you. If you've abandoned them with their mom in some box in Walsall Arboretum, 3 or 4 months ago, you're scumbags. So... Look what I've had to do now because of you. I've ended up with cats.
I didn't know about this. Yeah. You're not talking about this. Have they got names? Or have you not gone that far?
Yeah, but they're random names, so they're not. I wanted to try and call them Villa names, but one of them is called Cleo,
Okay.
So I call her Cleopatra.
Nice.
So funny
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
And the other one's
good.
called Zeke, but I don't know but I call him Ezekiel because it just sounds a little bit more grand. So
Okay. I was going to say,
Yeah,
should we
there we
rename
have it.
them Villa players now? But I don't know if I can be bothered, to be honest.
No, they're all set anyway. So
Okay.
I'm not a cat person, Dan.
Let's move on. I'm not either, actually. I much prefer dogs. Anyway, a couple of little bits I wanted to just quickly mention. First of all, great to be back at Villa Park. Really nice to be back in amongst the Villa fans, in amongst the surrounding area of Villa Park, of course. We'll talk about some of the little bits about the stadium, the club shop, and all that in a sec. Just two things I wanted to bring up. I don't know whether you spotted these or they came across on TV, but there's what I love about going is there's always something that you see and you feel like you may be the only one that saw it, or you felt like a small little community of those around you that spotted something. So did you see John McGinn have a go at Mikel Arteta in the first half?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I saw him have it.
That was
It didn't
good.
last long though, did he?
No, I think McGinn had been or felt he'd been fouled previously and it wasn't given, and then he'd gone in on somebody and it was given, or Arteta thought it should have been given and it wasn't. He came steaming out of towards his technical area, and as McGinn got up, I don't know what he said because I'm not close enough to hear it, but it was something along the lines of like, "Sit back down, you," or shut the F up, something like that. I would have thought, kind of pointed like, you get back down in your seat, Mikel. And I love stuff like that. I don't know whether that would have come across on TV or if anyone sits on our side of the stadium and saw that. But I love stuff like that. That's the kind of player I'd be. I think you've wound me up. Sit back down.
Yeah, but I think this is why you need Villa Park to be made bigger, just so there's a technical area big enough for Mikel Arteta. I don't think he was in the technical area at all, was he?
To be fair, Emery's not in his much either, so I don't think we can talk too much there.
It's Emery's man, Emery can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, okay. The other thing was Saka getting shouted at throughout the game. Again, on our side, went down and screamed. You could hear an audible. I'm not going to do it because it was very high pitched. Nothing wrong with him, obviously. And as he was subbed off on the far side and had the lap of them, which must be horrible as an opposition player, although they were winning, of having to walk past all the home fans. As he was walking down in front of us, those fans like screaming back at him, like, like that. And he had a glance over and smirked and then went like this, did the shushing for those that are listening, and then kind of laughed a little bit. And I heard someone near me go, to be fair, he has won the game. Like, fans are going, and he's probably thinking, yeah, I could care less. Like, I've come here, won, and left. Again, never going to come up across on the TV, I don't think. But again, I love silly things like that you only spot from being there.
I'll tell you something I spotted, and my son spotted. You know, when Duran came on, I think we had a set piece. I think we had a free kick. So McPhee was in the technical area trying to give advice, and he actually give it the hammers like that. He was like that. I thought, is that the way they get Duran motivating now, boy? Every time he goes on the pitch, we have to give him the hammers.
One of the guys, one of the guys on the row in front of us was going, irons. And that was good. That was a good shout. Because again, it's a signal for a set piece, isn't it? But the fact it was Duran just adds that little extra layer. Yeah, lovely stuff.
What did you think of Junior Prize Where It Lies?
Oh, I knew you'd want to bring this up. Very successful, wasn't it? 66% success rate. Possibly, yeah. But they're only kids, aren't they? It's fair enough.
2 out of 3, and the third one was close as well. He overhit it.
What I quite liked about that was the first guy gets it. Oh, you've won a signed shirt. Second guy, oh Christ, he's done it as well. You've got 500 reward points. What? 500 reward. He's got a signed shirt, and I've got reward points. We've basically done the same thing. It's so bad, isn't it? I was just thinking, they're just kids. Just give them both a signed shirt. Yeah,
you've got to learn lessons, haven't you? Unless you deserve it. One person's signed shirt is another person's 500 reward points, isn't it?
Maybe he can use his reward points to buy a shirt and get it signed himself. Maybe.
Yeah, he could probably buy a Sharpie with it, couldn't he?
Yeah. Finally, some use for those reward points. Very quickly, obviously, as I say, nice to be back at Villa Park. A few nice touches around the stadium. The new badges are up on the ground. There's all the new branding, the new tunnel, which we don't see in the stadium, but I've seen on the TV since. All these little touches that everyone looks out for and sees what is different to last season. Did you have a walk around the ground? Did you go in the club shop or anything like that today, or was it straight into your seat?
No, I did the usual. Went for a burger at Smoky Joe's and then went into the seat, mate. I'm not a tourist. It's been there before.
Tourist. Good. I did go to the club shop, and it was probably a mistake. When we got to our end, we're Trinity, and there's a massive kind of horde of people waiting to get in. And we said, should we go to the club shop? It was about 4:30, and I wanted to go. My dad's already been, so he's got the shirt. And I was like, I haven't been. I want to go and see what's in there. And he said, I think it's a bad idea. Yeah, I'm going to queue up and go in. I was like, okay, we'll split it up. I'll meet you in there. Went down to the club shop, had a look around, didn't have anything in the size I wanted. Nice shop. They've done it very well. Lovely stuff, whatever. Came back up and saw the queue was bigger than it was when I left. That was my first mistake. Should have just gone with my dad. And it was about just before 4:45. Got in the queue, and it's a queue, there's like 4 turnstiles. It's not 4 lines, it's just a mass of people, and you're kind of being bottlenecked into this small space. And there's just no movement at all. Like, you maybe got 5 minutes, nothing. You move forward 2 meters, nothing, and just keep going. Gets to about 5:15, and I'm thinking, everyone around us is going, you don't have to delay kickoff. I'm thinking, there's no chance of that. It's probably only us here. And the guy in front of me, I've got it up on my phone. Look, it looks empty in the stadium. Like, they've got to delay it. We all got edging ever closer. Finally get near the front. It's about 20 past-ish, maybe a bit before. And there was a guy starts coming towards us from the turnstiles. And the guy next to me, he's like, mate, it's the other way. You're going the wrong way. Wee. And he goes, I've got to the front with my digital e-ticket and it's not worked. And they're sending me all the way to the back to the ticket office to get a paper one. And he's like, oh, Clown Blue podcast. Love the show. See ya. It's just like, everyone's like, oh, what, poor bloke. Obviously going to miss kickoffs. No way. I don't know if he did get in, let us know in the comments, because the queue was still massive. I got in at like 26 past. My dad's looking at like, oh, bad mistake, wasn't it, to go to the club shop? Yeah, I'm here. But yeah, it's just a faff. It worked fine for me when I got there. Yeah, I've got it on like the Apple Wallet thing. I just double clicked, scanned straight in, all fine. But there's clearly
Which way something. Supposed to pointy?
Like, do you not have contactless cards on your phone, like debit cards and stuff? So when I double click the lock button, it comes up with my, there it is. I won't show it. My bank card. And my Villa season ticket, which I also won't show because of details, is in there as well. Oh, there it is. And I'll just like, if that's the scanner, I'll hold it like that. Beep. And I'll just.
See, that's what I was. That's the mistake I made. I did the other way around, holding the screen up to it. But I'm quite high tech, mate, to be honest. But I'm not. When I turned up there, and bear in mind, my dad was there, who's 30 odd years older than me. You see, something like that. He seemed more comfortable than me. I was like, a bit like a kind of caveman with a Tamagotchi. I think it was like, what am I doing here? What am I supposed to do?
So you're the hold up then?
It just gives you that anxiety that I don't need. I don't need it.
Yeah, I think hopefully it'll get better with time and everyone will get used to it. And there's got to be people who are getting there, haven't already downloaded it, all that kind of stuff, and it only takes one to hold it up. And, like I said, you've got like 4 turnstiles and 3,000 people or whatever going into those 4 doors. It only takes a bit of a commotion for it to be, I've got to go to the back. Oh, excuse me, mate. And before you know it, everyone's waiting to get in. Hopefully it's better. If it's going to be like that every time, then all this talk about get into the stadium, getting you to spend money, do this, do that. If I've got to spend 45 minutes just to get into the stadium, then they might have saved money on not sending physical season tickets this year, but they lost out on all the pies and points they didn't sell from everyone getting in late.
I still think there's. So I'm not. Don't want to knock them because I'm sure it's easier said than done when you've got to manoeuvre 40,000 people around the stadium. But some of the logistics, really. So, how are you supposed to queue to get in the Trinity? Because I see some people who queue normally in a very British way. So, in a queue, in a line, and then I see some people, of which I may or may not be one, who queue as if you're queuing at a bar. So you just kind of hover around it, and then just hope. You
see an opening and you think, I'll go over there because that side's moving a little bit. Oh, that'll go the other way. Yeah.
And the other thing, like down by Smoky Joe's, down by the players' car park and whatever they're doing around there and stuff, the queue for the burger van takes you straight through about 3 or 4 parking spaces. And you're thinking, I know it's quite tight, isn't it? With what they're doing with the North Stand and everything that's going on, I don't think there's quite enough space to do everything that they want to. And it's bits like that. And I'm splitting hairs, to be honest. It's unlike me to do anything with hairs. But those are the things that improve this experience ultimately. I know it's part of the dream. And I know that Villa will get that bit right. But these little details like that, I mean, this really has been, I'll disappear in a minute, but this really has been over the top. In the gents, in the Trinity upper, I was pleased. The taps worked, the soaps worked, the whatever paper towel dispenser worked. There's a poster advertising the Foo Fighters there in June. You think, surely somebody's gone in. Maybe, listen, I am more bothered that they've cleaned the urinals and they've cleaned the toilets than...
That's a start,
Do you not take that down and put something else on?
I mean, that is obviously massively nitpicky, but I think you're right in the kind of overall sense that we have all these grand ambitions of being a big club and doing things properly, and then you have things that like, what are these season ticket card list tickets, but they don't really work and no one knows what they're doing. And we've got a bigger club shop, but you have to queue to get in because it's not quite big enough for the demand that we've got. And I know these things will come with time, and it just feels like we're trying to do everything at once, and we don't really have the kind of facilities or the infrastructure to do it to a great level just yet. But ultimately, it's the first home game of the season. I just wonder whether, and I was stood in this queue in the sun, and it wasn't very hot today, but I thought if this is another day and it's 30 degrees and you got 5,000 people stood here like lemons, that's not great either. But I couldn't help but think like a home pre-season friendly would have been good as a bit of a test run to get all this kind of stuff sorted. Or if that wasn't possible, maybe like an open training session or something last week where we can get 5,000, 10,000 there who maybe feel a little bit like, I don't really know what I'm doing with this ticket thing, so I'll go to that and just get myself familiar with it. Maybe that kind of stuff helps. But ultimately, hopefully this was the testing ground so that when we're all at Everton in 3 weeks' time, so get your phones ready if you haven't already, hopefully everything goes a bit smoother than what we saw tonight. But we're absolutely nitpicking. But, we try and cover everything on the podcast. Some football, some Foo Fighters in urinal chat. That's what we're all here for.
I love that Ollie Watkins is not the only one who's rusty. It's us. Well, which way do we go? Where do I park? How do I get up those steps? Villa, we need these pre-season friendlies. How are we supposed to be match ready unless we know all this? The only thing I was going to say was the Arsenal fans. I thought the Arsenal fans, they annoy me. They really do. But most opposition fans, when they're beating you on your own turf, annoy you. And give Emi Martinez loads and loads of stick, which I kind of get and I kind of don't get, because I don't think he did as well by them as he could. He's left them and he's turned himself into World Cup winner and a top end Premier League keeper and trademark the best in the world. But the only time when I thought Villa answered them back, I don't know whether I heard it very loud, but I think the whole team started singing Emi Martinez, he's won more than you. And I thought that was he's won more than us as well, to be fair. But I thought in terms of giving,
he's won more than you. Brackets not with Villa, with his international club. He's won more than you. Yeah,
it don't quite scan, does it? That, but
what I also think is quite funny as well is the Champions of Europe. You'll never sing that, and they come back with Champions of Europe. You weren't even born, like as if it was 100 years ago. Probably, I don't know, 40% of that crowd probably were born and were there even and saw it and were alive to remember it. Like if it was like 1954, yeah, totally different. 1982, not that long ago, really.
Speaking of born, just want to give a shout out to Ashley Priest's new lad, Grayson.
Good news, good segue.
So little Grayson, I can't remember what his middle name was, but so we've got another little Villa, and if little villain, if he's anything like his dad, by the time he's got a sippy cup, he'll be drinking ale, he'll be drinking beers in the Aston Social and be on it big time. So, congratulations to Ash,
well done, Ash,
and his wife and the family. One other shout out, somebody who collared me when I was coming out the Foo Fighters poster loo after the match. A fella called Andy from Kidderminster, your neck of the woods. So, Andy and his son, Ollie.
Andy.
So, big shout out to Andy and Ollie.
Lovely stuff. All right, are we done?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, what a podcast this is. All over the place. Some football chat, some non-football chat. A pleasure, as always, Matt, to be discussing all those things with you. 10 on Saturday evening. Thanks to the 411 people who are still with us watching live. If you're watching this on catch up, I would like to know that you are one of those people. So what can they leave in the comments, Matt, as a word, so we know that they watched to this point? Right, cat litter.
Yeah, cat litter. Yeah.
Okay. God, it's terrible, isn't it? If you've watched 45 minutes of this on catch up, leave a comment cat litter on YouTube so we know you're a true fan, unlike these live people that dip in and out. So disrespectful to the live audience who are here with us now. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Matt, thank you for joining me. Our next podcast will be Monday, which is bank holiday. John and I will be doing a Q&A, so that'll be out at some point on Monday. So if you want to get involved with a question as well, you can contact us on social media. I'll put a tweet out tomorrow or a Threads post possibly. But that's it. Thanks everyone for watching or listening, and we'll see you Monday. Bye-bye, everyone. Oh, the discount code, I forgot. If you want to get involved with NordVPN, there is what word, Matt? What adjective should we go for?
Rip-roaring.
There's a rip-roaring discount in the comments down below from NordVPN. So check the link down below, nordvpn.com/claretandblue. Thank you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you Monday. Bye, everyone.